mini series is all centered around the Swiss ball, and I have a 65 centimeter ball which is suitable for a person of roughly 165 centimeters in height. So do double check that before you actually get going. Make sure that it feels appropriate. I think ideally is the plan to have the right angle at your knee when your foot is flat on the floor, or ever so slightly lower. So that's probably a kind of loose description of how it should feel. The ball itself, don't pump it up too much, doesn't want to be rock hard, doesn't also want to be flat, somewhere in between. That's kind of common sense. So when you've got your ball, when you've got the right height, coming to sit on your ball, if you feel unsteady, then have something to the side of you. So if you're already sitting on the ball, you might well feel comfortable. Otherwise, first time getting on the ball and being pregnant on the ball, probably have your sofa. You might well be doing this in your living room, something, coffee table, something right next door to you. Otherwise, you could come at the ball with a slightly wider stance. Put one hand on the ball so it's not going away from you. And then here I'm easing myself. I've got one hand in the front, one hand behind, and here I am, I'm already on. And just like I said, so possibly this ball's a little bit squidgy and my knees they are in line, but I suppose they could be dropped just by a touch. So simply, when you're on the ball, everything in pregnancy kind of gets quite natural. You just do what feels best for you, and that is a brilliant, brilliant way to be. So for this one, this particular set of exercises are going to help you with lower back pain. It can actually directly help you with sciatica. So sciatica is your piriformis muscle right inside your bottom. Sometimes that can get tethered in your pelvis, especially during pregnancy because of the movement of your pelvis. The pelvis is coming apart to make room for baby, and could definitely be a little mini side effect of pregnancy. Oh yay. But so what you've got here are a little set of exercises flowing from one to the next that are going to help you start to understand your core in pregnancy, getting yourself moving on a ball. And even here, I can't even talk to you without moving my bottom. So it's quite a natural thing to actually feel like, oh yeah, that's a good movement, I'm getting some relief, and then you just gradually build. So always start, small range of movement, take yourself where you need to be, always bring yourself back. If you feel like, again, that you're a little unsteady as you progress with an exercise, definitely have something beside you, so you could be moving whilst having your hand on a support. I will do some facing you. I talk a lot, so I'll talk you through this, and I'll also be on the side so you can see everything. So to start with, very simple. All I am doing is a tuck and a release, and I teach all my classes and all my PT clients in exactly the same way. Start small, you know what your body's all about, and you just then can go with it. So in terms of this movement, it's very subtle. I'm barely tucking, barely releasing, and obviously we will be bump dependent how deep you want to go or can go, because the mind and the body may in pregnancy not quite be in sync with each other. You've got your pre-pregnancy brain telling you, yep, we're going to do this, and then your body's going, I don't think so. So this is a very simple tuck and release. I'm going to take it to the side and just show you the same thing, and then just progress from there. So tucking and releasing. You can see I start with a flat back, straight spine, and then tucking. We haven't mentioned breath yet. So what you can do is when you come to the ball, you can simply just take nice big deep breaths, get yourself settled, and then on an inhale, prepare. On an exhale, I'm doing a little bit of tucking and scooping your tailbone under. So inhale, I've got a little bit of a push back, and then exhale. Or feel like your inhale rising, and then exhaling, scooping. If you can see, I'm getting a little bit deeper. So here would be where different stages of pregnancy determine your range of movement. I might be slightly gliding those hands over the knees, and then they might be able to come up. So here the arms might go long, and then I bend back in. I'm just scooping and releasing. And if you feel good and you want to, you might want to hold that scoop just for a little bit, because as you're tucking the tailbone under, it stretching through your lower back, which is just what we're after. Breathing in. Inhale. Exhale. As you inhale, take a nice wide breath out into the rib cage. Exhale, scooping under. You might feel a little bit of compression as the top of the bump meets your kind of bra line area or encroaching on your chest, so just be cautious how that feels. This, I have absolutely no idea how many repetitions I've done, because this is something you just get going with. You sit on the ball, you take nice big deep breaths, you always start nice and soft and steady, and then off I go. You can do this without watching me do it. Once you've got the hang of it, you'll do it whilst watching the telly. You'll do it in your downtime. You'll do it if you've got children, you'll do it when they're asleep. Nap time, or you're going to be popping other children, older children to bed, coming down, and this is your me time. So this is a brilliant way, especially if you're still working, lifting, moving. Who isn't doing any of that? You are moving your body on a daily basis as a pregnant woman, and here this is going to be brilliant for your tuck and release to create a nice range of movement, a nice mobility exercise for your lower back. So here, all we're going to do is move on. I'm just going to swap myself to the side because it suits it better to be facing you, because we're going from one side to the other. So very simple. If you can see where my knees are and you can see where my pubic bone is, you can see I've got some isolation there. Ever so gently, I've got one bottom cheek down, or the sitting bones down, and then I'm gently over to the other side. This might be your one where you feel you've got some actual pull and stretch through that sort of portion of the sciatica pain, that particular area around in the sort of point of the glute. If you would stick your finger in it, you'd find it. But ever so gently over we go. Gently rolling we are, so the pelvis is rolling. I'm slightly isolating it. You may not feel during pregnancy whether you're isolating your waist or not, but here you can see I've got shoulder opposite to hip. This is my neutral, and then I've gone across. So it's over, center, and across. Breathe in here. Exhale. Inhale. You can slow yourself down. Here I've paused. Inhale. Exhale. So obviously you don't need to have your arms up like I just did and pointing your fingers. It's simply the rocking from side to side. It's a very soft, subtle, yet pretty powerful exercise or mobility movement pattern for a pregnant lady. You have no idea until you sit on this ball how great that ball is going to be. So if you've not had children before, you get to a certain stage in pregnancy, I know I definitely did with my two, where the ball becomes your friend. So here, this all becomes quite natural. And you're ever so gently just tucking. So you might feel a little bit of pull and a little bit of pressure through the glutes or over the hips or in and around the hips to include the glutes. And if you don't feel anything, that's absolutely fine. You may well be having a pregnancy where things are happening to your body elsewhere, on a global scale, somewhere else in the body. You might be doing fine, you might be doing brilliantly, and hurrah to you, keep on it. But this might well just be lovely to have right at the end of pregnancy, or towards the end, when your brain goes into engage mode. Engage that baby. So here, this downward pressure and opening up through your pelvis, this is wonderful for actual help, physical help to get that baby down. So here I'm still nudging from side to side, and because I'm talking a lot, I'm not breathing in the exact way that you would be. So let's do some together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, rising up. Exhale. Inhale, nice wide breath. Exhale. Just as the previous, tucking and releasing, we are doing multiple repetitions that feel good for you. If you feel like you need to stop something, it's most probably because it doesn't feel as good as I'm describing. So all you have to do then is go in this same sequence because it just starts you off in a really lovely way. But at the same time, if you need to lop one off and do a different movement pattern, go right ahead. Or you're feeling like you've done other things in the day and you want to jump ahead because you know that gets something. It gets the lower back straight away. It gets into that piriformis muscle. So all we're going to try now, I'm just going to pause. My wiggling about has moved me back a little bit. So I'm going to pause here just to create that nice sense of calm again. So you can have some nice deep breaths, maybe take 5 breaths and just let everything settle where it was because we're now going to be combining. So breathing in, you could shut your eyes. Sometimes that makes you a bit more unsteady and you kind of lose your sense of where you are. So if you don't want to do that, don't. But you're breathing in and then exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Nice wide breath. Exhale. A very nice calming breath that just sends you a little bit deeper into your ball. So inhale up, nice and wide, out into the rib cage. Exhale, down and through. Inhale, rising up, wide breath, taking you all the way out, and then exhaling. Drawing that exhale right down from the forehead, from the crown of the head, all the way down. Perfect. So, popping those two together, you can simply do one and then do the other. So you could do a tuck and a release, and you can do a nudge and a glide, and that could be how you're combining with your breath. So I inhale, prepare. Inhale, center. First side. Inhale. Exhale. From here, the way that you could combine it is actually thinking of a circular movement. So you're reaching all of the points of your circle. So breathing in, you're tucking. I'm gently going to be pressing over to the side, softly scooping my way behind, softly reaching the front. And then without stopping that movement, I am creating a nice fluid movement. You breathe in and then breathing out. If you feel like it's suitable for you, you might have a little bit extra lean. You might need or want a little bit of an extra tuck, and you might slow yourself down. These definitely do not need to be fast rotations. They are soft, they are subtle, and they are where you need them to be. So some of this, when I push back, you might actually be stretching those legs because you've gone a little bit into the straight leg option. Breathing in and breathing out. I'm going to pause because I do need to take the other direction. So breathe in, nice upright spine, and gently exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale might be one whole complete rotation back to the top, or your exhale might actually be one and kind of a quarter movement, and then you're into an inhale. Then you move into your exhale. So you are isolating through your rib cage. You're just nudging those hips, and you're keeping the tuck and release because it's part of that natural movement. If you want to, you could just go behind and sweep back from where you came from. I'm now going behind, back from where I came from. So that was a half circle back, half circle back. What you could always do as well, bring yourself down and feel like you're just at the back. You're doing the combining, you're doing a tuck, but you are sweeping and sweeping. So I can do an inhale and exhale. I can just stay here. So what you might find, if you're tight somewhere else, the pushing away of you and your bottom or your sitting bones away from you, and you lifting through the chest or stretching through the neck, You could give yourself extra stretches whilst you're here, and you're just gently pushing round. So here, this is my half scooping, and I'm actually doing one and the other because I'm not completing the circle at the top. And then what you could do, very subtly, you could kind of be zigzagging your way to the top and zigzagging your way to the bottom. So that is something that you don't have to have, but it could be, it's the side to side up to the front, it's a side to side to the back. You could do it where you're actually side to side, and here I'm stretching my neck. So I might tilt my head in the other direction. You just have to be careful and cautious. Obviously, we've been here for a little while now, and that's why I'm just suggesting, can you add? So here I pull down on that shoulder, that hip's gone down, I'm getting a bit of an extra chest stretch, should you be tight. You could just move through the shoulders and move through the bottom as you're going through. Once you're doing this for yourself, and also once you're doing it on your own, so give yourself some me time, genuine me time. So you're just isolating, you're thinking, you're remembering your breath. Wherever you need a little bit more help, which is either stretch or abdominal help, and the contraction and engagement of any muscles from that sort of central line, your core as a whole. Here you want an exhale. So pre-pregnancy, you might have been doing quite a lot of Pilates or yoga. You might have quite a handle on your core. But otherwise, if you haven't, and regardless of where you are now, you are pregnant, and this one is a fluid movement with your breath helping you, with core control on exhale. So you're just understanding your pregnant body and your core connection, linking it with your breath and making everything super, super natural. So we've done quite a lot of this. Me, myself, I'm off in my own little world, nudging and moving. So when you're ready, again, after a little sequence, it probably makes sense just to have a little calm again. So you might actually feel like your legs are tingling, that things are happening because you've been using your muscles. And so you can just pause, have the flat feet, just rest your hands down, rest your elbows into your legs, and just take nice, big, deep breaths. Breathing in, breathing out. Again, eyes open or closed, whichever you prefer. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So 2, 3, 5 breaths. Perfect. Nice sense of calm. What we're going to add now, like I said, you're building in layers. We haven't been using the arms, we were just slightly isolating the shoulders. So the next step from that would be our isolating hip action and an isolating shoulder that has a T-shaped arm. So from here, you can make it very simple and stay with a T-shaped arm, or you can be moving your arms gently as you're moving through the legs. So to begin with, I would say have everything static. So I'm not moving my legs or my hips. I'm simply got a nice upright posture, and I'm simply going to take a T-shaped arm, and I've got my thumbs up. From here, I'm just going to start that gradual nudging. If it's a little bit too much out here, or you feel you're too high, you could always have a soft arm, and you can have palms up. It just sort of takes it down a notch away from the shoulders and the neck. Otherwise, we're gently going over and over. So again, inhale starts you off. I can do some where I'm simply isolating the hip and the hands stay there, or inhale. If you see, I've reached this arm out, the opposite arm to where my hip has gone. Inhale. Exhale. So if you imagine your spine is down the center, one side is leaning to the opposite side. So arm is in one direction, or shoulder, and the hips and the legs or the glutes have gone in the other. And what's going to happen to your spine? It's going to have a nice little bit of length. What's going to happen to the side of the waist? It's going to have a nice little bit of length. So the synchronization is key as well. Do not speed up on these ones, because you're now definitely, I mean, you can do this with one arm, but you're definitely now up in an exercise. You're working at it, and the core stability needs to be with you. So breathe in. here what you could do is give yourself a number. We haven't done it on previous ones, but now because you're layering up and this feels a little bit harder, maybe a little bit more challenging, because you're synchronizing breath and movement with an actual physical movement you can see now, because you've got the outstretched arms. It's not just a soft movement for the hips and the hip circles. Here you might have 10 or 12 or 15 per side, but what you can do is still have that number but break it down. So breathe in, inhale, exhale. You could also actually bring the arms down, go back to just doing the hips on their own, or a tuck and a release and a side to side, or have a nice amount of rotation that involves you getting a little bit deeper in and out of those shoulders, or rolling those shoulders as you move back, rolling those shoulders forward, and that just gives everything in the upper body the chance to have a little pause. So you could have done 5 repetitions for each side, have a little mini pause, go back to any of the places we've come from, the exercises we've come from, then come back and do another 5 or another 10 per side. So I leave that one with you, however many you would like to do. From here, so leading ourselves on to yoga and yoga poses on the Swiss ball, we can take the eagle arm. So if you've been doing yoga before, eagle can be in the form of legs and arms. You can do a seated version, which I do often in class as a warm-up. Eagle arms is crossing the arms either once or twice, and the same for the legs. So obviously we're just going to not be crossing those legs. They stay put. And eagle arms, if you wanted to, you could start out with a T shape and just bring one arm up, have the palm in, bring the other arm and simply cross it. So you've crossed the arms. Here, you might find that this sort of movement and holding on here is enough for you. So when you cross the arms, I'm starting to stretch between the shoulder blades. So you could hold your shoulders, and that would be your option, with or without a pelvic tuck and a release, because as I tuck around my upper back, that is actually really beneficial. It's like doing a cat in yoga and Pilates. The cat is a round back, so that's what I'm doing with the tuck, but holding my arms, giving myself extra on the shoulders. Otherwise, the fuller version of the eagle arms, palm and then crossing, and then they come together. So if your palms are there, by all means you can have the backs of the hands together. Otherwise, it's palms together and even holding them and just gently lifting them up. So this one I probably ought to come to the side. So let's do that. So eagle arms, crossing over, crossing the other one, palms together, and then not so much in at the chest and kind of hugging in. You want to challenge those shoulder blades. You want to bring them apart from each other. So you lift up and you take the elbows in line with your shoulder and then ever so slightly away from the body. So breathing in here, I could have them down, and this could be my inhale, and then exhale. I've taken them up into that stretch. Breathe in, and then exhale. If you feel like you want to just do that, you leave the legs alone. No pelvic tucking, no rocking side to side. This is strong. I'm holding these hands, these thumbs together. I've got the palms together. I've got the elbows up, and I'm gently pulling it away continuously away from my body. Or I could have this movement with a pelvic tuck and a release, and I still keep those arms away, and I nudge and I just nod from side to side. So here I'm just taking a little bit of movement. It's not that I'm rotating, because we don't necessarily need that, and that could be a bit unsteady, but all I'm doing is starting a central point, moving slightly over to the left, back to the center, over. So exactly the same as we were doing with our T-shaped arms. I'm just going over, center, and then what we could do, having done a couple of those for each side and a couple of walking into how we're feeling, you actually need to swap sides. So you've got the other hand underneath, other arm over the top, and you're holding those palms, or you've got the backs of the hands together. Elbows come up, they come in line with your shoulders, and just hang out there. That's good. You could take 5 breaths here, that would be perfect. You've got a nice static hold, yet in between those shoulder blades. They're really doing the job. This pulling away is really doing its job. If you've done the nudging side to side on the previous one with the previous arm cross, here you could do your tuck and release. Breathe in, and what you could do is you could bring the elbows in, and that's going to give you your C curve anyway, but a little pause for the shoulders, and then as you come up, exhale to a flat back, so that's straight back. Inhale here, inhale, scooping, inhale. Lovely. Everything here and everything with yoga, everything in a pregnant yoga course or class or a PT session should flow really nicely. It should be natural, it should feel good, and it should be for you at your level. And so here what we're going to do is just release. If it feels like it's a bit much, come into a shoulder roll or a nice chest opener. What you could do is you just put your hands behind you on the ball. You can take a slightly wider stance and stretch forward, or you could do a tuck and a roll here. So let me move back around this side. My tuck and my roll is like, again, a seated cat-cow position. So I've got my hands inside, I've got the elbows out wide, I'm tucking in. Obviously we're bump dependent how deep you're coming, and then on my way up, fingertips go down and then arching up. Not so much that I'm arching the back. I haven't created the flat, the arch. I'm keeping that flat back. I'm just lifting the chin, scooping, and this is a tuck. And then here, I'm just lifting straight up or lifting with that chin. Let me do that one from the side again. So you're breathing in to prepare, and then you exhale for your scooping. Inhale, exhale. Here, change the hand position, just sit up tall. I haven't created the arch, I've just pulled the shoulders back. Maybe lift the chest, because that's going to stretch my throat and my chest as well. Exhale with my tucking. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, tucking and releasing. Inhale. Exhale. Perfect. So do that one at any time, or a standalone, a cat-cow is a brilliant one to do. I'm just going to get my band, because you can use a band, you can use a towel. If your hands are there, then that's perfect. You can just pop your hand behind and find it. But here, we're moving on to cow face pose, which the eagle arms was a twist, and cow face pose. So the twist helped to pull between the shoulder blades and stretch that upper back. Cow face pose is along the same lines, but you might find you're feeling it on the front of body, you might find you're feeling it in the shoulders. But the idea, if you've never done it before, it's very simple, and just like if you're in the gym and you've done a tricep stretch, which is holding the elbow and pushing back down, that could be enough for you, and that could be stretching the chest and stretching the triceps, the top of the back of the arms. But cow face pose just moves on from that you're actually holding behind. I'm not going to pretend that I can do the whole lot, and definitely I can't do both sides. It's one of those things, you definitely have more flexible sides, stronger sides, sides with no pain. Nothing is the same in the body, so you just have to go with the flow. So here, and definitely in pregnancy, definitely should you need it for stability wise, it's helpful to maybe have this rather than simply using your hand. And all you're going to do is just take it behind you so it can stay like this. So it's across my back. Let me come to the side. So it's across my back and down, you can see. And then here I've got the two hands. One is at the bottom and is going to pull, and the other one is at the top. So very simply, the band is going to help you, or the whatever it is you're using, your towel. The band is just going to help you to stretch that arm up to the top, and you're going to pull yourself into that stretch rather than the classic version, which would be holding the fingertips right behind, and you'd be having that elbow up in the air and the fingertips, you'd be pulling on them. That might be just a touch of intense. So regardless of whether you're pregnant. So from here, all I'm going to do is when you want more of a challenge, you just walk those hands closer and then pull away. So here, holding behind me, breathing in, and I'm going to, on the exhale, nothing's happening with the legs, just the arms. Breathe in, and then breathe out. I'm taking those arms away. Inhale, and then nice proud chest, flat back. Core strength you need here. So you're zipping up a little bit, drawing in, drawing up from within. A little bit of engagement there around the outside of your bum into those obliques, or down here in your pubic bone, down deep. those nice postural muscles. Breathe in. If it's too much, you just walk away. You have a softer version. So when you open it, you don't need to pull. You're simply soft, and then a partially stronger version of your soft option. Otherwise, you want the power and you want the strength. And also, it's band dependent. Tighter band, you're going to feel it. Breathe in. A nice diagonal. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Lovely. And then you need to swap sides. So you simply take yourself on that opposite side, still crossing across the body on that nice diagonal, and here you're taking it where it needs to be again. I might walk my hands a tiny bit closer together. Ooh, itchy eyebrow. When you're ready, breathing in, breathing out. It does not have to feel like a powerful move, but you might actually be getting a really nice stretch along the whole length of that arm line into your biceps. The angle that you're pulling at, if you see I've changed the angle here, can also change your stretch. Straight up, oh, I took my ponytail with me. Straight up, slightly differently in between those shoulders. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. That is more on the diagonal. This feels like a straight up. So breathing in. Breathing out. Perhaps you're doing 10. And that's a really nice number to do. Perhaps you just want a couple. So you could do 5. You could do 3 or 5. Probably 1 is just not going to cut it. You need to do a few more than that. Breathing in. Breathing out. Perfect. What you can do is just pop the band on your neck and just give yourself a little moment so you can tuck and roll and release, one at a time or both together. And then all we're going to do, it's the same idea, but both arms there are coming out together. So everything is soft here. Breathing in, exhale, inhale. So feel soft, feel still in control, but your exhale, everything's powering up in your exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Might not be feeling it, because you've opened things up, and that at the very end is quite soft, quite nice, and a nice place to finish. If you want to feel more, you just take those hands closer together. So breathing in, you've got to hold on to it with a stronger grip. Breathe in. Inhale. 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 Lovely. I would say 5 or 10 of those, or 5 of everything, is a brilliant place to be. Pop your band down to the side. I'm again simply going to have a tuck and release and finish in a cat-cow position. So that again could be sliding down and sliding up, and that's your version. We can do a nice tucking, and then here releasing, so making more of this pull down. Inhale, wide breath. Exhale, scooping as you go. Really getting into a lower back stretch and release. If it feels good and you're warmed up now, we've been here a little while, you can hold things. You might need a wider position. You might want to come here, or you might want to just hold. You may want to reach all the way down whilst you're in a round back. You might not be at the toes, but you might be coming down the shins, and then you might be coming up. So exhale as you're tucking, inhale releasing, exhale scooping, inhale releasing, and then just pausing there. We're just going to open and close those arms and just give you some height back into the spine, some length. This is a little chest opener, so gently pulling, thumbs are back, thumbs are down, bending here at the elbows. When you're coming down and up, you're using your breath. Inhale here. Let's hold a couple. Exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. And from here, you can very simply have a seated version of a Shavasana. So this could be your relaxation pose. I've got my hands on my knees, on my thighs, softly resting the elbows so there's no tension in the neck or the throat or through the chest, and just nice breaths. So you might actually feel there's a little wobble and movement through that ball where your bottom is not just perfectly staying still, and that is fine. Every little movement like that is a little bit of core control required by you. And the breaths are getting softer in the sense that they are more natural rather than you forcing yourself to have a big inhale or a big exhale. And you might have the subtlest little nudge anyway because it just feels like you ought to. So, coming to the end of that little mini series with your Swiss ball in a seated version. I'll be doing other videos of this sort of complementary nature of helping and alleviating any pregnancy ailments. So I will see you on the next one.